I almost think it's going to be a one extreme or the other. I think this is going to be a go big or go home type project if it's done. This is Laricy Live, and I'm your host, Matt Laricy, giving you unfiltered access to the world of real estate. We cover market trends, news, and give you the honest answers that will keep you ahead of the real estate game. Today we are talking about the Chicago casino project that's going on. We actually were slated to talk about something else today, but with this whole new development, we thought, hey, let's get a little bit of time sensitive and talk about a hot topic. And a hot topic is that as of last night, this could change by the time this comes out, but as of last night, it looks like Bally's is going to be the leader in the casino front runner race in River North. And when I woke up this morning, I had a million emails, text messages, and calls from people asking me my opinion on it. So I said, screw it. We're shooting a podcast today. We may as well talk about what I think is now a hot topic. So first question we're going after is what's going on with this new Chicago casino. So there was 3 finalists in the casino race. First off, I don't even know why they wanted a casino in the heart of the city. Personally, I don't think it makes a lot of sense, but it is what it is. And out of the 3 locations, there was one in River North, and it looks like that's the one that they're going with. Why did they choose that location? Nothing is finalized. Let's be clear, that is, nothing is 100% finalized. And even once Lightfoot 100% gives her approval, it's still got to go to the gaming committee, who then has to get approval. Then you have to go through all the building process, zoning, etc. So, you're still a long ways away. So let's just be clear on that, okay? Why did they choose this location? It was an empty site that used to be the old Trib project, or Trib printing project. And I don't know why anybody would choose this. I think the location is not favorable. I mean, you got 2 lanes going in on each way, so it's a 4-lane street. There's one bridge on one side of it and one bridge on the other side that only has 1 lane apiece. You're kind of off the highway, but the highway you're off of is only like a 2-lane street each way. So like logistically on a traffic, it sounds like an absolute and utter nightmare. But they chose it for the money. It's all about the money. It's all about them Benjamins. They're getting a little bit of a $25 million payday up front. The city is absolutely dead broke, even though we did get a lot of grants. Where those went, I don't know. But they want the money up front, and they're willing to use the labor unions, which will give more money to the city. So essentially, when we say why do they choose it, supposedly it's all about the cash. Is there other stuff that happens behind the political grapevine? I can't comment on that. I can just tell you what, according to the news sources and papers, that's what the indications of why they chose it. What other locations were being considered? There was one by McCormick Place. There was one, by Chinatown in the 78, and then there was ours. So those were the 3 locations that have been being considered, with Bally's now being the leading candidate, the front horse of the race, and looks like it is going to be solidified. Is the casino actually approved? The casino is not approved yet. What essentially is happening is that there is a committee led by Lightfoot choosing one of the 3 locations. Once a location is chosen, it goes to the gaming committee. The gaming committee then has to approve it. And then from there, I'm sure there's a whole line of political BS that we have no idea of what really happens and whether or not it'll get built. Just for the record of everybody out there that's absolutely freaking out, just know there's a lot of times buildings are set to be built and then they never get built, or they get the city approval and then they don't sell, so then it gets scrapped. So nothing's 100% until it's standing, but it's leading in the right direction. Whether you like it or not, I will openly say that I'm violently against. I'm not violent. I'm not going to go out and do anything physically, but I'm adamantly, will say, against the casino project going up in River North. What are the benefits of adding a casino, and what are the downsides? The benefits are the city's broke. It'll create a lot of extra tax revenue. Gambling in general, you can tax, and brings in a lot of money to the city, which in return brings in more dollars to our city that is absolutely broke. So the benefits is all about cash. And unfortunately, our city's been mismanaged for God knows how long, and we were absolutely broke. So that's the advantage of the situation. The downsides are plentiful. Downsides It's a logistical nightmare, as we discussed with traffic. Crime has been absolutely out of control in Chicago, and the location they chose, River North has always been a very safe place, and lately it's been terrible. And the fact that they're choosing this location, which is right by an area that has made it more difficult with crime, is going to probably be the biggest downside, is going to be the fact of traffic and crime. Those are your two biggest things that you're looking at. How will a River West casino impact the neighborhood? Most people think it's going to affect it negatively. Most people think it's going to bring down house values. That's why we're talking about today, because everybody's asking me, like, is this going to affect my value? It's impossible to say, right? Let's take an opposite approach, right? Because I'm against it. I'll tell you guys right now, flat out, I don't want it. But let's look at the opposite side of things. Okay, what if they do it up really nice? It looks really pretty. The rooms are really expensive. The tables are really expensive, and it makes it more of like a structure area, and it draws people in, and it becomes like this staple of where people want to go to, and it ups the property value, right? That's wishful thinking, but again, we'll play devil's advocate and say that's the upside of maybe having a casino, and or the positive impact. And the negative impact is that, like, it brings a lot of crime and extra trash and traffic to the areas. What they're going to be doing to the river area and redesigning it could ultimately change this area to the worse. And it could also, because of that, it can make all the values in the area absolutely plummet. So that's the impact it could have on a negative side. Now, these are both, guys, hypothetical situations. I'm not saying either one's going to happen. I'm not on record saying this is definitely going to happen or this is definitely going to happen. I'm just saying, like, these are things that are going across people's minds while we talk about the casino location. Will residential home values go up or down? As I suggested in the last comment, it all depends. I mean, this kind of reminds me of when a building's first getting built, okay? Like, a lot of people think when a building's going to go up, it's going to have a terrible impact on my property value. And then everybody freaks out. They fire sell their units. The property value goes down in that particular building. Then when the building goes up and then people go in to visit that building, they're like, yeah, the view's actually not that bad. I'm like, well, you wouldn't believe it. But before, when the building was announced, people thought that was going to be like a terrible looking building and it was going to really impact the view. But for the people who've never been there before, they didn't know any better. And it actually didn't have any effect on the building. So the reason I use this example is because, like, it's impossible for any of us to predict of whether it'll go up or down. So I could be dramatic because I'm upset that it's getting done and tell you that I think it's going to go down. Or I could be dramatic and say because I'm so happy it's getting done that it'll go up, but nobody knows. It's just way too early to say of what will happen. But I think it all depends on what the execution's like, if it actually does happen, and then what the city actually does to protect its residents and investment over there for the neighborhood will ultimately determine whether or not it has a positive or negative impact on housing values. Will the casino impact commercial real estate in the area? I mean, again, I think it has to do with how well it's established, right? What if it does it very nice and it becomes this big attraction, right? Then you get, fast food restaurants, you get, more upscale restaurants that go in there, you get more retail that go in there because it brings in tourism and people want to, they got hotel rooms. When they get out their hotel room, they want to go walk around things. So it could have like a huge positive impact on the commercial market. Now, on the flip side, if it turns out to be not done as nice and they start not have enough security around there and things get a lot out of hand, it'll put commercial businesses out of business because people are going to avoid the area, and that'll have a negative impact. So again, guys, I almost think it's going to be a one extreme or the other. I think this is going to be a go big or go home type project if it's done. That's why personally I am a little bit nervous about it because, yeah, maybe I'll hit a home run on my property values in the area, but maybe I'll lose everything too. Like I'm not take 100%. I'm more of a very conservative person with my money. So it's a high risk situation. That's the best way I could put it. I don't think this is going to be a low risk situation. I think it's high risk, good or bad. Where would be the best location to put a casino? I think it would probably be more in an area that is got more commercial stuff going on, not as much in like a residential area. I think if they put the casino more like in the south, like by like McCormick, or things of that nature where they have more tourism kind of coming in there and like more big conventions going in and stuff like that would make more sense. Or maybe kind of more in like almost like a desolate area where it's not as much residential. That's where I think it would make more sense. I think putting it in the heart of a fully residential area where there's pretty much no commercial area around it doesn't make sense to me, especially mostly from just not only the crime area that I'm nervous about, but the traffic. Just I don't know how they're going to figure that out. It's going to take forever to get around. But that's when you're putting up big theme parks and casinos. Think about like Disney World, right? Disney World was put up in an area where it was pretty much what they considered a wasteland. Okay, they didn't even think that anybody would ever develop that area, so they pretty much gave that to Disney because they're like, nobody's ever going to use this. That's usually where like big projects, look at Vegas. Vegas was it was a desert, and nobody went there, so they just decided to build a bunch of shit, and then everything else came around it. So when we talk about putting in this casino project in the heart of a fully residential area that's already built up and established, to me it just doesn't make any sense. What concerns do you have for as a River North resident? As a resident with kids and stuff like that, I have a big hesitation because, like, first off, casino brings, like I said, traffic, but it brings a bunch of drunk idiots. So that means that people are going to be blowing stop signs, drinking, stuff like that. My kids walk the streets, so that means that I have to worry even more about maybe my kid getting hit by a car. It tends to bring a little bit more crime, and we've had a lot of shootings in River North recently. There's actually been a pretty high percentage of drive-by shootings. I've had 2 buildings now that I live in been shot up, so I have to be nervous about maybe some sort of gunfire being happening and go through my window and hurt one of my children. I have to be nervous about the trash, because it brings a lot of drug use. Typically around casinos, there's more drugs, which means that there's going to be needles and stuff like that laying around the streets that my kids can play with. So there's a lot of stuff that can negatively impact it. Now, again, that's on the dramatic side. On the upside, they police the area well, they have good cleaning crews, and the place goes great, then it would be good as a resident because then, it would maybe up our property values. But that's putting faith into a system that so far has not done its job, and the reason they're putting in casinos is because they're broke and they can't manage their cash. So it's kind of like, it's like looking at a kid and knowing they messed up, but then giving them more cash and hoping they turn it around. To me, the casino is more wishful thinking that it'll be good. And if you look at it from a logical standpoint, and it's like looking at a math equation, you can't really trust the city with this going the right direction. How will casino impact traffic flow? We talked about that. It's going to be literally atrocious. Will the casino approval cause major property tax changes? It won't cause them to increase. So essentially, if we don't get this casino somewhere in the city, taxes are going to go up because we don't have the money to pay the pensions for the police and firefighters. So there's a real bill that's out there, real bill for them that we have to pay that there's no money for. And essentially, that's why Lightfoot wants to take this $25 million upfront cash because she could pay it off. And then the tax won't go up. As a resident of the city, it's kind of like we're paying for somebody else's mistakes. It's like when you start dating somebody and blaming them for their ex-girlfriend, right? Like it's somebody new. What am I paying for because somebody else messed up? Now I have to not only pay for it out of my pocket, but I have to pay for it out of my own personal backyard because the management didn't understand how to manage their cash. And that's what makes me the most upset. And I think anybody else that's seeing this is probably feeling the same way. It's like not our problem that you didn't figure out how to figure $25 million. We get a huge cash flow from the federal government. We got billions of dollars from the feds. Where did that money go? You couldn't have taken $25 million from there. Instead, you had to take a casino and put it in your backyard. I don't know. Something just doesn't add up to me personally, but that's a different conversation. What are the financial drivers behind this decision? We talked about that. Will the new casino add more jobs? Of course. Listen, let's look at the upside, right? We're looking at a lot of negative things. Sure. It's going to have more jobs. Going to have more people having more opportunity. The only thing I have to say about that is where the economy is today, which will change, jobs isn't something that we're looking for. In fact, for anybody that's out there that's been watching our podcast, we've been talking a lot about the supply chain issues. And the supply chain issues is the fact that there's more people, or there's more people looking for employees than there are employees looking for jobs, right? So right now it's really easy to get jobs. So as much as it's going to increase more jobs, how are they going to fill this? Most hotels, in fact, Crane's did an article 2 weeks ago saying that why are hotel prices going up when occupancy is down? And the reason is because they can't find the help to keep the hotel prices down. So the fact that you're going to build something when we have too many people for the jobs. I don't know how they're going to fill even the positions that they're going to need. That'll be an interesting thing that they'll do. Is it also hotel? Yeah, they're adding hotel rooms. I think it's 250 hotel rooms there. I don't really know if we need any more hotel rooms, considering that I think the last stat I read is that there's only a 50 or 60% occupancy for hotels in the city. Now, let's face it, if this does get built, we're looking at 5 years out, which means that we're past the pandemic. Hopefully we have new management and they figured out how to curb the crime situation, which is going to bring new tourism in, and that the 29% vacancy rate on Michigan Avenue goes down to maybe more of a 10%. At that point, maybe it'll be better. But again, this is all... It's too. If we can all predict the future, guys, we wouldn't be sitting here listening to these podcasts. We'd be sitting on a yacht drinking champagne. So, what do you expect is going to happen to home price nearby? We talk about that. Are you surprised by the approval? I got to be honest with you, I am. When they announced the 3 finalists, I just figured River North was the last shot. I just thought to myself, it's in a highly residential area with no means of egress, and I don't see the point of why they put it there. I figured it'd be down south where there's no development, and it was more of a desolate area, which would make more sense, and right off the highway with easy highway access on a highway itself. But I was wrong, so surprise would be an understatement. What is the timeline before the casino is actually up and running? I mean, like I said, I'd be surprised if this thing's here in 5 years or so. I think I read projected timelines of 25 or 26, but anybody who's driven down 99 or 4 can tell you that that highway's been under construction since you were a kid. So you can't really put too much stock into these guys getting things done on time, especially with, as we discussed, the supply chain issue. If the supply chain issue is a real thing and here to stay, who knows how long? I mean, maybe we're talking about this and this thing isn't done for 25 years from now. We'll all be dead, so it doesn't matter. Could this add more revenue to the city? Of course, if it's actually done correctly and it's done appropriately. The hotel rooms will bring in more tax dollars, will bring more tourism. More tourism brings more spending into the city. It'll bring more people gambling at the casino, and obviously the city gets a cut of that because the casino has to pay taxes. So again, more money. So yeah, of course it'll bring more money to the city if done correctly. But then you're putting your trust into a system that so far has no reason to be able to have our trust given to it. Will the casino prevent property tax from going up? Nope, it won't. If you think that, you're wrong. Our city's broke. This is a short-term solution for a long-term problem that they still can't figure out. So this is kind of we can't figure out how to do this, guys. Let's just stick a casino and fix some of our short-term problems, and hopefully the math equation solves itself. I tell you guys right now, you want the greatest, easiest way to figure out the tax problem in Chicago. It's super simple. I'm telling you right now. You take 10 of the smartest people in the country that are graduating college right now that are mathematicians. These are kids, maybe internationally from wherever, and they say they want to do something big with their lives. You put them in a room and tell these 10, you give them the tax situation in Chicago and our budget, and you say you got to fix this math equation, because that's all it is. When it comes to money and stuff like that, all it is a math problem. You stick the 10 smartest kids in this room, and you tell each and every one of them that you will have a job at any place that you want to if you figure out this problem. I can guarantee you guys, those 10 people will solve that problem, and the entire budget and equation will be done. Let me tell you how I know I'm right. There was this thing in World War II. We stole a bunch of scientists, and we created an atomic bomb when they said it couldn't be done. The people had their backs up against the wall, and they had to create something. They were able to do it. It's the same thing with this. This isn't rocket science. This isn't creating a bomb. This is creating a math problem to figure out a budget situation. It's super simple. And I'll tell you right now, if anybody out there wants to get involved with it, I'm sure we can make it arrange and get some businesses here. I'm sure Ken Griffin will hire you guys in 2 seconds. So this isn't that big of a deal to figure out. But yeah, the tax are going to keep going up until somebody figures out that math equation. What concerns are there about Bally never having built a casino from the ground up before? I mean, who knows? Anybody who's never built a building before are going to know that you're going to come up with a lot of kinks. Ask any developer, what problems they come into. So when you're going into the unknown and it's your first time, you're going to have some major, major, major problems. How long will the construction process take? I mean, project like that, probably 3 years minimum. And then, of course, you got to go through city zoning and all the other BS, which is probably another year or two. And then any delays. That's what I'm saying, 5 years minimum until it's here. So we can all freak out. But, in my opinion, we're looking 5 years minimum until this is done. What kind of logistical challenges will the casino provide for neighborhood residents and businesses? Crime, traffic, property values, concerns about what's going to happen, people complaining. You're going to see a lot of protests going on once it starts getting built. People will probably be lining the streets. blocking traffic, although it'll make no difference. It's going to probably happen. If a casino shouldn't go there, what should? I mean, originally what was going to go there is a bunch of office buildings with residential, and they were going to rebuild a Riverwalk. It was supposed to be awesome. And you're going to have like big businesses go there. And then the pandemic hit and they kind of scrapped that project. So, this is what it is. What advice are you giving to clients that currently live or are planning on buying near the approval site? Don't freak out just yet. Let's get the facts. As mad as you can be, don't make an emotional decision. Make a calculated decision. This could be good. This could be bad. Nobody can know yet. Just kind of sit back, kind of collect the data. And if you're violently against it, do something about it. Vote differently. Get people involved. Talk to your alderman. I mean, although he may not have any power in the situation, write letters to Lightfoot. Get everybody I mean, listen, you have to realize that everybody has to answer to the people. So if all the people don't want it, then they can make a difference. But it's up to you if you really don't want to do it. And if you're wondering what you can do to help, I mean, there's a lot of stuff out there. But if you're nervous about where your property value is going to go or are going to fire sell as a result of it, I wouldn't freak out and make an emotional decision just yet. All right, guys, that's all we got to talk about today. Leave your comments on what you think it's going to have as a positive or negative impact on the market. Also, let us know if you are for or against it. We're just out there to see how everybody feels about it. Thank you so much for listening to Laricy Live.